Morning all, this is take 4. I don't know what's going on with me this morning. I keep on losing my words. I just want to say thank you. I had another 3 submissions on this worksheet. Please, I'm going to make the cutoff date on Friday. I'm going to mark these that are here on Friday. And that's it. Remember, all these are counting for your marks now. I had some questions about the crunchy. Now, the crunchy has got a clear up and a down phase. If we look at this girl doing it, during the upwards movement, she's still explaining a little bit the hand positions, the chin up. We only want the crunch, so we just want the upper body to move. You can see the pelvis must stay neutral. That upwards phase is again against gravity, so the muscle contracting is rectus abdominis and it is concentric contraction. Remember, Jam, the joint, which joint? This is trunk flexion. The movement, I said flexion, the joint is your vertebral column, and then the muscles is rectus abdominis. Now, during the downwards phase, it's eccentric contraction of your rectus abdominis. Now, one thing we must realize, her hips need to stay stable. Can you see there's no anterior or posterior tilt of the pelvis? And that's critical in a crunch. If there's movement, that means the stabilizers are not doing their work. If you don't know what's an anterior and posterior tilt, you need to Google it. We've finished with that. Now, the muscle that stops the pelvis from doing the posterior tilt during the pelvis, so pushing that lower back down into the floor, that muscle is erector spinae. Now, there's 3 of them. So it needs to be active and keep your pelvis stable. And then rectus abdominis is the dominant mover. During the upwards phase, nice concentric and eccentric, lowering the upper body. Definitely internal and external oblique, quadratus lumborum, transverse abdominis is your dominant postural stabilizer. They all help in the stability of the pelvis. Okay, now there's 2 other components I want to do. We did the squat and the lunge. Now we did the crunch. We also did the bicep curl. So I'm quite finished with those. Let's do hip. Let's first see. This will be abduction. Moving away from the midline. There you can see the action. Abduction. The muscles working in this stabilizers is definitely, again, transverse abdominis. The stability must be in this leg here. She's using a hand for additional stability. Otherwise, glute max, medius, and minimus would have really worked hard to stabilize this leg. Your mobilizers is the legs on the lateral side of that leg. So that is glute medius and minimus. Maximums does not do abduction. Okay, and then tensor fascia lata. So there, when she lowers her leg, remember the upwards movement, that movement is concentric, eccentric, concentric, eccentric. So there she's starting to lose stability. You can see her hips are moving. Okay, so the muscles doing the action in the upwards phase, concentric contraction, downwards phase, eccentric contraction out of your hip girdle. Right, we've done abduction. Let's do adduction today as well. This guy's doing adduction, so he's going to work the 5 adductors we mentioned. If I'm right, it's pectineus, gracilis, adductor magnus longus, and brevis. Remember, only one of them crosses the knee and the hip joint, and that is gracilis. He also uses his hand as stability. I would have actually liked him to use TA or to be transverse abdominis, erector spinae, and then again on this leg, you have to use his hip stabilizers like glute max, minius, and medius. Let's see the action. Adduction, nice concentric contraction of those 5 muscles moved, and now lowering concentric, eccentric, concentric, eccentric. Adduction, abduction. Although it's abduction, it's against the resistance of this, so these muscles are slowing down the movement. Right, that's all I want to do today for me. Guys, go and analyze a little bit. Write down the Jam. The joint. We first need to know now, he's not working against gravity. He's working against resistance. So will you say, pulling the pulley away, that's concentric, and slowly releasing is eccentric contraction right down the joint. And we need to start bringing in the stabilizers, the opposite leg. So although these guys are doing the mobility, this leg needs to keep him stable. Okay, I'm done for today, guys. Please do that worksheet, see how far you. And with that, I'm going to mark that on Friday. Bye-bye.